What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel, and I'm just gonna show you guys one of the last indie games I have that I probably didn't show. Actually, I didn't show Deadberg either. Maybe I could play that one day. But I'm gonna show you guys first person mathematics. No. Star chart. So this game was only $1, and I bought it I think before I even knew the earth was flat. And I'm going to talk to you guys about a few things I found interesting in it. Well, I mean, it's not really that interesting, but this game was very interesting to me when just as a space enthusiast, like, I'm one of those guys who would look up in the stars on a lonely night and look at Jupiter and just imagine how far away it was and just think about what was happening there at the present time. And here, you can set your positioning to anywhere you want in the world. So like, I had it in near LA. I'm not really in LA, but I just kind of put it there. You can set it to anywhere you want. Anywhere you want on the globe. On the fake ball earth. And, I mean, we're going to set it, I guess, near there now, but... Or do you want to go to Texas? And then it's gonna like appear like you're standing from that point and looking up to the stars. So let's just set it there again. And all these are stars, and I can just set up my toolbar here. You can draw your compass, draw the constellations, items of interest. You can draw the sky, like you're looking up at the sky. And just for the moment, I'm going to actually use the sky. So right now, this would be the ground, all this part down here, and all this would be the sky. So this is like the daytime sky, and during the night, it would shift over to here, right? Well, I mean, not entirely, because I think it takes maybe months to years for you to even see some things. Like, where I am, there's a star that I love to watch, but it only is visible and it comes closer to my location in the wintertime. Now, you can zoom in actually and watch them. It's actually like they're live and they're actually moving around. Now, if they're completely linked to real life time, let me just check the time here. Tuesday, August 15th. 19. I guess it's pretty close. How accurate it is, I don't know, but it has a lot of this nonsense fake bullshit on it, right? And look at all these numbers and stuff. All this overcomplicated, like, all these measurements and stuff that how do they even know? Especially for some of these smaller ones that you wouldn't even... Well, they have no data for it. Oh, this one actually has some data on it. Like, oh, like, I have books. I have a book here, and it shows like pretty much when we look up at the sky, we're looking at there's two hemispheres, right? And hemi means half a sphere. So we're looking at one part of the hemisphere and the other part of the hemisphere. Now on a flat Earth, I'll ask a couple of frequently asked questions that non-flat earthers will ask me. So like they'll say, you know, why can't I see Mount Everest from where I'm living? If the Earth's flat, I should definitely be able to see it. Well, if you go out, and I don't know if you're living like where there's a lot of space, because don't fall for the overpopulation myth. All the world's population, over 8 billion, can fit in one of our states that has like 8 billion square feet. So everyone could stand there in that one state. In that one county, I think. I think it's one county. It's not even like a state. So like, if you've ever driven across Texas or Mexico, there's a lot of like empty space. So the elites want you to think that the overpopulation myth, but even if there wasn't overpopulation, that doesn't just bring more mouths to feed, that brings more hands to work and more minds to innovate. So don't fall for that lie. And right now the elites, as we speak, they're using military aircraft and military units to actually burn down our world's how should I say, residential areas, because they want to burn down all the independent people living off on the grid and living away peacefully on their own land. They want to burn all that down, so bring people into the cities, because they're preparing for Agenda 2030. And I've seen in Hawaii, I've seen in Greece, I've seen in the States, in Canada, in France, they're burning down the lands, and especially in Hawaii, you can see how the cars have melted. Now, that's not even possible. That's not possible to get a forest fire's temperature to melt steel and liquefy it. That's not possible. Yeah. And I like how it shows relative to our sun. The sun's so massive, right? Allegedly, but flat earthers know that the sun is actually smaller and the same size as the moon. And I don't know how large they are, but we suspect that they're about 30 miles across and about 5,000 kilometers, 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers or miles above our realm. And they go in spirals. They go in spirals over our heavens. And I have a video about the sun. You should watch that. It's titled How the Sun Proves the Earth's Flat. And I have another one called How the Moon Proves the Earth's Flat. And I'm going to make one about how rainbows prove the Earth's flat. And how airplanes prove the Earth's flat. Which I think I already made that one, but... So, when I was growing up, I was looking at this here. And I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to have to turn on the light. But it's called the W map. And essentially, it shows where we are and all this radiation that came out of it essentially expanded away from us. And they say that the explosion was not uniform. Some parts of the expanding universe were slightly denser than others. When the universe had cooled enough for the plasma to form a gas about 300,000 years ago after the Big Bang, blah 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 bullshit, the light suddenly streamed out across the universe. The temperature fluctuations seen in the cosmic microwave background, the CMB, arise from density fluctuations in the early universe, which is not entirely uniform. Which is strange. They always say it should be uniform, but there's something that's not making it clump together. They're going to make up some other nonsense, black, dark energy and all that stuff, invisible stuff that they can't prove, they'll never be able to prove, right? The universe has, however, denser regions are only denser by 1 in 100,000. The universe has expanded since the light started its journey, and the light has been stretched and cooled. Now corresponds to temperatures of 2.7 degrees above absolute zero. Astronomers can use the details of this map to work out what the universe was like in its early life and what its future may hold. Now, scientists are saying that this is actually the gas expanding, and they suspect that some of the scientists suspect that it all expanded from where we are. We are at the center. Now, they don't want to tell you that this is actually one half of our hemisphere looking out from one part of our dome, and this is another part of the dome. And we're living. Why is it important? Because if you know God already, it's not important. But if you're an atheist, someone who needs to see evidence, then, well, first of all, creation is proof that there was a creator. Just like a painting proves there's a painter. But essentially, where was I going with this? Oh yeah. So if we're just a planet randomly spinning through space, that kind of creates doubt that we could have been created by chance. But since that I know that the Earth's flat and we're living in a container proves a creator, right? And now let's just turn off. Wait, let's just see the constellations here. Oh yeah, so then the reason we can't. I was talking about the space and stuff like the being in Mexico and such. Because if you're standing on a highway and you watch a car drive away from you, do you think you could see that car if the Earth was a flat plane? Do you think you could see that car forever? No, because eventually the car goes so far out of your sight you can't even see it anymore. And it doesn't have to go that far. What, 50 kilometers away? Less? And you're already squinting, you can barely see it, right? Because the atmosphere compacts and we can't see beyond that. And also the light doesn't reach our eyes because our eyes are biconvex lenses and they kind of see like at how do I say this? Our eyesight focuses in one spot and then the light has to bounce off the object, but when it goes out of our distance, the light, it's so far away that we're only seeing the light from the ground. Like the ground like the light for hitting the water or the light hitting the ground bounces back to us. So that's why we see these objects disappear bottom first. Because we're not getting that information anymore. That light is hitting our feet, essentially. And so if we can't even see a car driving on a highway 50 miles away, how do you expect to see the Empire State Building or the Statue of Liberty or like something taller, sorry, the Dubai's tower or like the Mount Everest? You would never see it on a flat plane realm. And also, you would never see the whole dome. You would never be able to see the whole sky because we're so small that we would just never see it. Okay, so now we're just gonna kind of look at this stuff here. And I'll talk about other things like people will say, hey, how about the photographs? NASA has taken tons and tons of photographs. Well, sorry, but people have already downloaded their images from NASA. And listen to what I'm saying. A lot of people, they just don't want to. I have family members and some people online that I care about, but it's just that they've already in their mind decided that the scientists of the world are right and random people are wrong, and they're not able to figure things like that out because they're not accredited, right? They haven't gone to universities and studied this in detail. But these people are paid to lie, right? And like I sometimes I point out a lot of things to people and coworkers and such, and some people just don't see it, and some people will never see it. Their brain doesn't understand science, and the people who do understand science, they're too prideful to even admit that they've been lied to, or that their whole worldview is wrong. And some people in their hearts, they don't want to believe in a God because they want to keep living in their sinful life. You know, doing whatever they want sexually and having no one say, hey, that's wrong, right? But all these are stars, and look, this is actually a fake photo. It's been taken from a desert on Earth, and they just kind of like, they get some editor to make the soil red looking. But all these photos that they show us, if you download them, especially the ones of the full Earth images, they're essentially photoshopped. And if you lower the levels in Photoshop, you lower the black levels, you'll see a copy-pasted square box, which they copy-pasted that Earth image. And all the images are, they don't even like make no sense. How come some photos of the Earth, the continents are changing sizes, the oceans changing color? It's just completely, so many inconsistencies. And if you look at China's photos of if we go to the moon, and if you search the dark side of the moon and look at America's, Russia's, and China's, all different. And we haven't been back here for what, 50 years? And then they said that the technology that they put the International Space Station up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and you telling me that rust bucket is still up there and in good condition? Remember when Elon Musk, he sent up his car? That looks so fake to me. He even joked about how fake it looked. And that guy's such a scumbag. All billionaires are liars. I don't understand how that's hard to see. How is that hard to believe that the billionaires are working together and trying to enslave humanity when one of them could just empty out their account and save, like, turn Africa and turn all our nations into a freaking beautiful, united nation with everyone having clean water, good education. Well, propaganda, public schools are all propaganda, but and everyone they could solve world hunger, but they don't want to. It's obvious. They could afford to get everyone to get the jab, the injection, but they can't afford to feed everyone. And all these planets, like, these are all stars, okay? They're all lights. You can't go land on them. So flat Earth does matter because it proves there's a creator and that we're the center of the universe. Follow it. Anyway, this is a kind of cool indie game. I thought for $1 just for me to, like, trip out and, like, you know, when I was younger I would go here and just chill and just look at this stuff. Even though now I know all of this stuff is fake. And stars are not what they show us. Look at how they show us here. They're all like balls of blue and stuff. But when you look at my channel, when you see my star footage, they look beautiful. They look amazing, beautiful colors. And then some probably scientists going to say, "Oh, I'm using some settings wrong, or I'm filming it, or like it's an illusion, optical illusion, because the light is going through our atmosphere," and some bullshit. They always have some bullshit to say. Even Jupiter doesn't look like this. With this detail, it actually has from what I've seen it looks like a orangey ball, and it has moons. I do see some things orbiting around it, but in the Bible it says that the planets are wandering stars, and they had set courses, and they're not listening to God. They're disobeying God, and they're going on their own courses. From my opinion, I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I think all the stars are a type of angel that just are set courses just to go in circles and light the heavens, and they were made for man to marvel at God's handiwork, and to give us directions back in the day, right? And the elites, they still worship all these planets as gods. And then in my book there, they have so much like data, like overwhelming amount of data about like the composition of stars and what elements they're made of, and all this information that you'd know they'd never have been able to get it because they're just making it up and pulling it out of their ass. They're just using mathematics and saying, okay, we're going to do this calculation, and if this calculation is correct, then this means that this star or this planet is moving around at this, this speed, whatever. They're just making it all up, essentially, because there's no way they could get all this information for sure. I feel like we're missing some planets here. Where's Pluto? Yeah, where's Pluto? Maybe it's too far away. Yeah, where the hell's Pluto? Look at this, the Milky Way. It's like a circular band because we're like in a galaxy, right? But really, it's just like people have said it's a crack in the sky. I don't know what it is really, but it's not. We're not in a galaxy, okay? There's no space. There's nowhere to go. It's like a barrier. The sky's the limit. The sky's a giant mirror, and these stars are all within our they're within the first heaven, which is in our atmosphere, and the sun and moon are within our atmosphere. Mercury. Trippy. It's going. It's moving. Spica. And God could have made the universe like this, but He didn't. In all history, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, the ancients, they all knew that the earth was a ball, but that's bullshit. They all knew the earth was flat, and they all knew God made us, and they all knew that there was a ceiling, and all ancient cosmology showed the same thing, a ceiling above our head. So you're telling me that the ancient civilizations that built all these stone structures all over the world that we can't replicate today, so they knew mathematics, they knew advanced astronomy, architecture, natural sciences. They have maps that were pretty accurate. They have, actually really accurate. They have star maps that were really accurate. So they knew mathematics, astronomy, architecture. But you're telling me that they're wrong about the shape of the earth? No, wrong. And I've even found an article showing that even 100 years ago, all of us here on Earth, North America and everything, we all knew the Earth was flat. And they were still teaching that in school. They were teaching God in the Bible in school, but it was like 100 years ago where they started doing some bullshit, like taking out the stuff from the textbooks, rewriting history, burning down shit, burning down buildings and stuff. And I'm going to make another video soon showing old photography of like Russia, cities in Russia, cities in America, like Chicago, cities in Europe and stuff, showing you guys how 100 years ago their cities were better than our cities. The buildings were bigger, taller, the streets were wider. People had a better way of life. People were starting to do inventions and figure stuff out on their own, and then the elites, they started monopolizing everything. They started creating their own accredited school education system. If you didn't get accredited, then your school was garbage, because they had schools for natural medicine in those days. But then they took it away because they're not accredited. You have to be part of the pharmaceutical garbage nonsense. And then they made the public schools, right? And then they took over the energy sector, and they took away the Nikola Tesla, and then they knew how to make get free energy, but they don't want us to have free energy. And it just blows my mind, like, you point out some things, you put videos up, and people don't want to look at it, because they've already in their mind decided that, no, they don't want to believe it. It's too much for their brain to handle. Aldebaran, isn't that like a Star Wars planet? Did this thing get destroyed by Darth Vader's Death Star? I think it's Aldebaran, but they changed. This is Aldebaran. Where's Pluto? I don't understand. I guess it's way out there, too far away. That's strange. I don't know why they wouldn't have Pluto. And the constellations. Why aren't the constellations changing? Everything's flying apart from each other, and everything's moving away. A lot of these constellations, they're not in our galaxy. Like a lot of these stars, they're not in our galaxy. They should be changing. Probably monthly. At least a little bit here and there, but we see no change for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And the smoking gun is how Polaris is completely fixed with Earth. All the stars circle around Polaris, but for some reason Polaris has perfect alignment with Earth and never incurs any parallax, which is like a movement. Nothing. That's impossible. Unless the sky was spinning around us. And there's a test where people did in the old days. This is what they did. They took a telescope and they tilted it on its side and they filled it with water. And then what they did was they started rolling it in direction with the stars to see if they could catch the starlight. And they found that, I can't remember exactly what it was, what else they did or what they were saying, but they said that they need to use water to slow down the light travel through the tube, right? Oh yeah, and if it perfectly went through to the end, it was showing that the star, because they were moving it at the same speed, right? And they were saying, okay, if it's actually circling around a ball, then the light won't be able to be cast or seen through the telescope. But it was. So this old test proved that the stars were moving, not the Earth. Anyway, when I first found this out, I was like for a month, and I figured this out in like what, 20, well, only thanks to God, but what year was it? 2023, yeah, like 10 years ago. And for a month, my mind was, I was like in a dream. I was thinking, I was working in retail, and I remember I was telling this one customer about it, and then now we're good friends. He's like the only friend I have in real life. Well, he's a friend, maybe not the closest friend, but he's a friend. Yeah, he's a friend. And he's from Serbia. Nice guy, nice family too. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching.